Welcome to my journey towards mastering all the heroes in Overwatch 2. In this series of videos, I'll be sharing my gameplay, highlights, and bloopers as I climb the ranks and learn the ins and outs of each hero. In this episode, I'll be showing you some of my early Ramattra gameplay, and I'll share some of the things that I've already learnt about the latest addition to the tank lineup. So let's start off with why I wanted to learn Ramattra. As you may know if you've been following my live streams, I have been loving the tank role and I've been mostly playing Orisa. The issue is, Orisa doesn't counter everyone, so it was time that I learned how to play a new tank. And with an upcoming nerf announced to Ramattra's ultimate, I wanted to get a feel of the hero in his current powerful state. So here we are, 5 hours of gameplay later, and yeah, I found out that this is not the same as Orisa. At first, I found myself wanting to do what I usually did, and get up in the enemy's face to try and bully them. But Ramattra's abilities are just not aimed at bullying people. If anything, it's quite the opposite. And at first, I was really struggling to try and adapt to this new playstyle. I found myself pushing in way too deep and getting focused by most of the enemy team. And I very quickly realized that Ramattra is kinda squishy. Fortunately though, I've just come out of about 15 hours of playing Kiriko, where we learnt about lines of sights and keeping your supports alive so they can help the tank. So I did a much better job of figuring out when I was pushing in too far and unable to receive any support. This didn't stop me getting tunnel vision and pushing in way too deep, but it made figuring out what I'd done wrong a lot easier afterwards, which helped me stop doing it as much. There does seem to be some kind of combination with his abilities though, which allows you to tank twice as much damage. I think this is just something to do with your cooldown management, where you try and balance your shield and nemesis form to always have something reducing the incoming damage. Combine this with some quick burst from his staff, which has unlimited range, and you should start racking up the damage and mitigated damage pretty quickly. I was even hitting numbers like 13,000 mitigated damage in a push map that didn't go on forever and we just kind of won. One of the things that helped with my overall survival as Ramattra was using cover and corners to mitigate a lot of the damage for me. This only had to be for a couple of seconds as I'd have another ability soon, and I felt like I was much more useful by poking in and out of cover rather than needing one of my supports to babysit me. Using the Nemesis mode kind of flips everything on its head though. While you're in this form, you want to be aggressive, you want to be up in the enemy's face, and especially you want to be out in the open. Now this might sound a little bit contradictory, but there is reason behind this. Not only do your punches have a surprising range, but your secondary block reduces so much damage that you can stall for a surprising amount of time. The one drawback is you kind of need one of your supports to have your back, hence why I said out in the open, because you don't want to be cutting off their line of sight. This stalling method has already been useful in a number of ways. Anything from getting to some cover, to waiting for some cooldowns, and even waiting for one of your teammates to catch back up. Just remember that you're not invulnerable. If the enemy team really focuses you, you will just die. So bear that in mind and don't hesitate to cancel the Nemesis form and use your shield instead if you need to either get closer or further away. I'm still trying to get the exact timing down myself, but I have pulled it off a couple of times, and when you get it just right, you end up pushing the enemy team way back. And his ultimate? Well, that just exaggerates everything 100 times over. Once you pop this bad boy, there's not much getting between you and a bunch of fleeing enemies. Just remember that you're still not invulnerable, so if the enemies all focus you, you're gonna have a bad time. My best advice here is to try and go for the support heroes, and let the strands of your ultimate do the rest of the damage until you can get round to the DPS. Try to take out the tank last so you can stagger the enemy team as much as possible. I think I ended up holding onto my ultimate for far too long before using it a lot, but you build this thing up really quickly, so unless you're under half health or really need to counter an upcoming enemy ult, then don't hesitate to use it a little bit prematurely. The season pre-nerfs plan for Ramattra's ultimate only really aim to stop you from having an infinite ultimate time, and as long as you focus on having someone within your radius at all times, then you shouldn't really feel any difference. Especially as the 20% speed boost really helps you catch up fleeing enemies, and you can always block any incoming damage as soon as you get there. Overall though, Ramattra definitely has an amazing set of abilities, and I'm looking forward to learning some more advanced tips and tricks with him. Of course, if you do have any tips or tricks for me, please pop them down in the comments or come check out one of my live streams. Make sure you also check out the Kiriko episode, where I spent 15 hours trying to understand her abilities. Remember to subscribe with notifications on if you enjoy the content, and I will see you in the next episode.